breaking news! The internet is saying something nobody thought they'd ever hear. Was Young Thug the very first snitch in the YSL case? They said Ghana was the rat, but new leaked calls suggest Young Thug might be the one who betrayed everyone first. Let's break down what really happened. Is Young Thug a victim of betrayal, or the mastermind who set YSL up from the start? The truth might shock you. From secret jail calls to rappers unfollowing each other, Young Thug's empire is crumbling in real time. But here's the part they don't want you to know. In hip-hop, there's one rule you can never break: no snitching. But what happens when the man who preached loyalty is accused of crossing that line himself? Only Channel 2 cameras were rolling Monday night in Buckhead when police arrested rapper Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams. The arrest instantly reignited conversations about the YSL RICO case and the ongoing debate around loyalty, betrayal, and snitching in hip-hop. Soon after, Young Thug released a response track titled Closing Arguments. In it, he addressed the accusations head-on, making it clear that others were the ones cooperating with authorities, not him. He called out real rats in the industry, insisting that he had nothing to regret when it came to helping his brother or defending YSL. The release of Young Thug's new song didn't just make waves, it caused an earthquake across the rap world. Almost instantly, the lyrics sparked fierce debates, wild accusations, and a flood of reactions from both fans and industry insiders. What should have been just another track from a jailed superstar quickly turned into evidence in the ongoing argument over loyalty, betrayal, and truth in hip-hop. The first wave of controversy came from none other than Wack 100, a figure who has built his brand on speaking bluntly about the rap industry. Wack claimed he had access to unreleased recordings, tapes that, if released, could destroy what's left of Young Thug's reputation. Among those alleged recordings were supposed phone calls in which Thug took shots at Drake, one of the biggest names in the industry and someone many considered his ally. The idea that Thug might have spoken against Drake privately while maintaining a public friendship made people wonder, if that's true, what else has been hidden all this time? But what really poured gasoline on the fire wasn't Wack 100's claims, it was the lyrics themselves. In the song, Thug rapped about living with no regrets, even as he faced one of the biggest legal battles of his career. More importantly, he hinted at betrayal from within his own circle, suggesting that some of the people closest to him had turned their backs when he needed them most. That one line flipped everything upside down. Instead of painting Thug as the victim of snitching, it gave rise to a whole new narrative, one that accused Thug himself of being the very thing he condemned. Enter YSL Mondo, one of the founding members of Young Slime Life. In a shocking move, Mondo went public with claims that Young Thug was, in fact, the original snitch in the RICO case. According to Mondo, Thug's own actions and words set the stage for prosecutors to target the crew. In his eyes, it wasn't Ghana or Woody or any of the other members who triggered the downfall, it was Thug himself. This accusation carried weight because it came from someone who had been there since the beginning. Mondo wasn't just a critic on social media or an outside observer, he was part of the YSL Foundation. His voice added credibility to a rumor that had quietly floated around for months, but was now being said out loud. Maybe Young Thug wasn't as solid as he claimed. For fans, this was a tough pill to swallow. Young Thug has always presented himself as a leader, someone who stood tall for his people no matter what. He was the face of YSL, the one who carried the weight of the crew's reputation on his shoulders. If Mondo's words were true, that image shattered instantly. The internet, of course, wasted no time. Memes, reaction videos, and heated debates spread across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Some fans defended Thug, saying the lyrics were taken out of context and that Mondo was just bitter or trying to shift blame. Others insisted that this was the missing puzzle piece that explained why the RICO case unfolded the way it did. The rap community thrives on drama, and this story had everything: betrayal, secret recordings, accusations, and the possibility that one of hip-hop's biggest stars had been living a double life. At the heart of the storm was a simple but explosive question: what does loyalty really mean in the rap game? For years, hip-hop has preached a code of silence, a belief that no matter what happens, you never cooperate with law enforcement. Snitching has long been considered the ultimate betrayal, worse than beefing with rivals or even losing money. It's the one line you don't cross. And now, with Mondo's claims, Thug was being accused of crossing that line himself. The accusations also highlighted the hypocrisy many see in the culture. Thug had been vocal about calling others rats. He had reportedly told people to cut ties with Ghana, warning that his reputation as a snitch would ruin careers. He had distanced himself from others accused of cooperating with police. But if Mondo's story was accurate, then Thug had been guilty of the same thing all along, just better at hiding it. What made the situation even messier was timing. Thug's legal team was fighting tooth and nail to clear his name in court, and every new leak or accusation only added fuel to the fire. Public opinion matters, especially in high-profile cases, and the more people questioned Thug's character, the harder it became to separate fact from rumor. Meanwhile, the rap world couldn't look away. Big names stayed quiet, perhaps out of fear of being dragged into the mess. Tekashi 6ix9ine, never one to miss an opportunity, chimed in with his own brand of chaos, mocking Thug for being caught in the same snitching trap that once defined 6ix9ine's own career. For Tekashi, it was a moment of validation. For Thug, it was another humiliation. Through it all, one thing became clear: this wasn't just about music anymore. It wasn't even just about the RICO case. This was about reputation, legacy, and survival in a world where one wrong move can erase everything you've built. Young Thug's song might have been intended as a show of strength, a way to rally support and remind people that he was still fighting. Instead, it opened up a Pandora's box of accusations that may never fully close. Whether Mondo's claims hold weight or not, the fact that they exist at all shows just how fragile Thug's position has become. As the dust settles, fans are left with the same haunting question: is young Thug truly the victim of betrayal, or is he the one who betrayed everyone first? This finger-pointing created a whirlwind that quickly spun out of control. The moment Mondo's accusations hit the internet, fans, bloggers, and even fellow rappers split into camps. Some saw young Thug as a hypocrite, someone who had built his reputation on loyalty and silence, only to be exposed for the very thing he condemned. Others, however, defended him, insisting that the so-called evidence was flimsy, taken out of context, or simply exaggerated by people with grudges. But just when the debate seemed like it couldn't get messier, another bombshell dropped: a leaked jail call. In the audio, Thug reportedly said that Ghana confirmed YSL was a gang. This single statement hit harder than any diss track or Instagram rant because it tied directly into the heart of the RICO case. Prosecutors had been working for years to prove that YSL wasn't just a music label, it was a criminal organization. And if Ghana, one of the most visible members of the group, admitted to that on the record, it gave the state exactly what they needed. For Thug, this wasn't just disappointing, it felt like betrayal. From his perspective, Ghana's decision to acknowledge YSL as a gang didn't just weaken their defense, it handed prosecutors a weapon to use against him. In Thug's eyes, Ghana wasn't just trying to save himself, he was actively making Thug's situation worse. The leaked call quickly went viral. Fans debated every word, analyzing tone, pauses, and context as if they were detectives themselves. Some argued that Ghana had no choice faced with years behind bars. He took the only deal available. Others said that by speaking, he broke the unwritten street code, proving once and for all that he was a snitch. The reaction was brutal. Memes labeled Ghana tell. Comment sections flooded with rad emojis. For someone who had built a career on credibility and respect, the damage was enormous. And yet, not everyone bought into the narrative. Ghana still had supporters who believed he was unfairly scapegoated, while the real issue lay within the system itself. Meanwhile, Thug's camp tried to use the moment to their advantage. By framing Ghana as the one who confirmed YSL's gang status, they painted him as the person responsible for strengthening the RICO charges. It was a strategic move. If the public saw Ghana as the weak link, maybe Thug could regain some ground in the court of opinion. But this approach backfired in ways nobody expected. Instead of uniting fans around Thug, it deepened the cracks within YSL's image. The crew that once branded itself as family now looked fractured, with members pointing fingers at each other, while prosecutors watched from the sidelines. The jail call also reignited an old debate: what does snitching really mean? To some, snitching is simple: any cooperation with authorities, no matter how small, is a betrayal. To others, it's more complicated. If someone tells the truth to save themselves, but doesn't directly incriminate others, is that still snitching? And if the information was already known, does repeating it even count? These questions became the center of endless online debates. Podcasts, YouTube breakdowns, and Instagram lives dissected the meaning of loyalty in hip-hop. Street veterans weighed in, often disagreeing with one another, while fans tried to make sense of a culture that seemed to move the goalposts depending on who was involved. Adding fuel to the fire, Tekashi 6ix9ine, hip-hop's most infamous snitch, jumped into the conversation. He mocked the situation, pointing out the irony of Thug calling others rats while now being caught up in similar allegations. His argument was simple: if the streets turned on him for cooperating, why should Thug get a pass? For once, even some of Tekashi's critics admitted he had a point. At the same time, Whack 100 reappeared with more claims, saying this wasn't the only case where Thug had cooperated in some form. He insisted there were other examples buried in old records, stories that never fully came to light. Whether true or not, his words added to the perception that Thug's reputation was crumbling. For fans, it became harder to know what to believe. Was Thug the victim of betrayal, targeted by a system that thrives on breaking crews apart? Or was he guilty of playing the same game he accused others of playing, throwing people under the bus to protect himself? The reality is, both narratives might be true at the same time. The streets operate on codes, but those codes often clash with the harsh reality of the legal system. Loyalty sounds good in a song, but when decades in prison are on the line, choices get messy. As for YSL, the jail call marked a turning point. The group's unity, once a source of strength, was now its biggest weakness. Every leak, every interview, and every Instagram post only confirmed what prosecutors wanted to prove: YSL was less a family and more a crumbling empire. And yet, despite the chaos, Thug's influence in the culture remained undeniable. His music still trended. His name still dominated headlines. But now every lyric he rapped about loyalty or brotherhood carried a shadow. Fans couldn't help but wonder, was he speaking truth, or was it all just part of the mask he wore? The whirlwind of accusations, leaks, and debates left one thing crystal clear: this wasn't just about a RICO case anymore. It was about reputation, legacy, and the thin line between loyalty and survival. And as long as the case dragged on, every word spoken, every call leaked, and every song released would only add more fuel to a fire that showed no signs of burning out. Then Tekashi 69 jumped into the chaos. On Instagram, he mocked the situation, saying, "I didn't know a rat could call someone else a rat." He questioned why other rappers like Lil Baby, 21 Savage, and Future stayed silent while the allegations against Thug spread. To Tekashi, it was another example of the double standards in hip-hop, where loyalty and street codes often shift depending on who's involved. As more interrogation clips leaked, YSL members reportedly left their group chats one by one, with many feeling betrayed. Some, like Roscoe, Kiwi Roscoe, defended Thug, saying he kept it real during questioning and even tried to protect his people. Others insisted he crossed the line by naming names, no matter the intention. Now, with his music career hanging by a thread, Young Thug's legacy is at a crossroads. Is he the victim of betrayal, fighting to clear his name? Or is he the one who opened the door to YSL's downfall? One thing is clear: the YSL saga has become bigger than music. It's a messy mix of loyalty, law, and public perception, where every leaked lyric, phone call, or interrogation video reshapes the story. When Young Thug and his associate Roscoe were both behind bars, a clip of them went viral. People praised their loyalty, saying, "That's the type of friend you want." Thug even said, "Roscoe never told y'all anything." At the time, fans saw it as proof of brotherhood. But things shifted quickly. Thug later claimed that his own interrogation video wasn't played in court because he was protecting his brother. That sparked rumors online. Some fans believed Thug may have paid Roscoe to defend him publicly in order to protect his rap career. That's when YSL Woody stepped in. He immediately called Roscoe out, reminding him of an incident from years ago that could expose secrets Roscoe didn't want aired. Woody painted Roscoe as untrustworthy, pushing back against the narrative that Thug had been innocent in the situation. Then came a bigger shock. Reports surfaced that Thug had mentioned Lil Durk in jail calls, hinting at possible ties between Durk's team and crimes. In one leaked conversation, Thug complained about Durk not clearing a song they worked on together. That recording quickly reached Durk's circle, and one of his close associates fired back, calling Thug a gossiping dude and mocking his past for wearing dresses. Thug didn't stay quiet. He clapped back, reminding everyone that he once paid for Durk's legal help out of his own pocket. Even his sister joined the conversation, defending Thug and saying people only call him a snitch because they know he can't return to Atlanta right now. Meanwhile, DJ Academics stirred the pot even further. He suggested that Ghana's team might be the ones leaking all these jail calls, timing them strategically to hurt Thug's image. Academics argued that Ghana probably had access to case files through his lawyers, which could explain how these recordings ended up online. Within minutes of academics making that claim, more audio leaked, this time with Thug allegedly calling out QC's Pierre P. Thomas as a rat and criticizing Lil Baby for working with him. The situation spiraled. Thug later jumped on Instagram Live, ranting about fake houses, fake money, and taking shots at Ghana. But barely half an hour after that rant, yet another jail call surfaced, this time with 21 Savage speaking to Thug. In it, Thug admitted that maybe rappers went too far too quickly in dissing Ghana, suggesting that the backlash might not have been the smartest move. That contradiction gave critics even more ammunition. Charleston White, never one to miss a moment, announced that he was on a personal mission to end Thug's career. He mocked Thug for sitting through hours of interrogation and predicted that if Thug stayed locked up for 6 more months, he'd eventually break and tell everything just to get out. Charleston doubled down, claiming he would destroy Thug's reputation to the point where he'd never rap again. As if the storm wasn't big enough, another interrogation clip of Thug went viral. In it, Thug could be heard telling investigators, "I made promises. Anything you want to know, I'll tell you in time, just don't tell the world." To fans, that sounded like a man negotiating behind closed doors while still trying to protect his public image. At this point, the YSL saga feels less like a rap beef and more like a courtroom soap opera. Every leak, every call, and every statement fuels the fire, leaving fans, critics, and even fellow rappers unsure of where Young Thug truly stands. A viral tweet summed it up harshly. Young Thug came out of jail, burned bridges, dropped no good music, and just got exposed for being a rat. Tough scenes. That single post ignited chaos across the internet, leading to a massive IG Live session featuring Rallo, 6ix9ine, Wack 100, and DJ Academics, all reacting to the newly leaked interrogation footage. During the live, Wack 100 claimed Thug had snitched on multiple occasions in the past. He pointed to an old incident in Los Angeles where Thug was caught with several weapons, but the charges mysteriously disappeared. To Wack, that was proof something wasn't adding up. He argued, every time it's something, people make excuses for Thug. But let's keep it real, he told before Ghana ever did. This sparked the bigger question. If Ghana really snitched, why is he still signed to YSL? Academics offered the answer, business. He explained that Thug still collects royalties from Ghana's music and, even from behind bars, controls label decisions. Cutting Ghana loose wouldn't make sense financially. Labels don't drop artists for moral reasons. AK said they keep them if they're profitable, even if the streets label them rats. But behind the business talk, the personal fallout deepened. YSL Woody issued a warning to rappers like Lil Baby and 21 Savage, telling them to stay far away from Thug's drama. Woody claimed that if Thug went down, he'd drag everyone else down with him. Shortly after, 21 Savage quietly unfollowed Thug on Instagram, a move many saw as taking Woody's advice seriously. Woody also revealed that Thug never paid for his lawyer during the case, even though he defended Thug for years. Looking back, Woody admitted he was manipulated, saying, "I thought it was my job to protect him, but really, I was blinded." Rallo also spoke out, blaming Thug for sabotaging his career. He accused Thug of calling Lil Baby and convincing him to cut ties with him. Rallo mocked Thug, saying, "Now you're going through what me and Ghana went through. Remember, you're the one who told everybody Ghana was a snitch." Thug, however, fired back. He argued there was a big difference between his situation and Rallo's. According to him, Rallo actually named people who were arrested because of what he said, while Thug claimed his own comments were just mistakes made under pressure. Meanwhile, academics continued to highlight the hypocrisy in hip-hop's no snitching code. He explained how fans and artists bend the rules depending on who's involved. If we like the rapper, we say he didn't really snitch. If we don't like him, we call it snitching. That's just how it works. It's better to be liked than to be right. But as the leaks piled up, Thug's frustration grew. He took to Instagram and lashed out, clearly angered by the constant drip of new recordings and the shifting narrative. Academics doubled down, saying civilians like him don't really care if someone snitches, only rappers and street figures do. "It's hilarious watching them scramble, fighting to prove themselves to us," AK joked. At this point, the YSL story has turned into a tug-of-war between business, loyalty, and reputation. Every new leak, every IG Live, and every reaction from rappers only adds fuel to the fire, while fans sit back and watch the snitch wars unfold.